If you're watching this channel, it's because you don't enjoy watching the world squander what Christendom built, but you want to do your part. And chances are you've heard me mention a great means by doing just that. Email made by and for Catholics. Check out fidei.email. That's FIDEI.email. Built for Catholic individuals, families, organizations, and groups. They're private, secure, and of course, they're Catholic. And they're offering 2 months off on your first year for an annual subscription if you enter the coupon code Return2Tradition without spaces. That's the name of this channel, without spaces, at checkout.
Francis is alive and, depending who you ask, well. And I hope he lives for quite some more time, that he has as much time as he needs to prepare himself for coming face to face with our Lord. It's the same that I wish for everybody. But the reality of our situation in the church is this. His time is drawing short. That is the general consensus of observers, given the fact he has one lung, given the various health ailments he's had over the years. It seems to be the consensus that his time is drawing short. That may seem like a ghoulish thing to bring up, especially in Lent, but we now have news that the conservative bishops have been preparing for the next conclave. This will make many of you very happy. Don't take that as a given that that means that they're going to organize and be able to, of course, win the next conclave for a better pope. Because the other side has been preparing for the next conclave for a couple of years as well. So I've got this story for you today in earnest. This is an important story to go over, so let's get right into it. Headline from the French website for the FSSPX, that would be the Society of St. Pius X. There, FSSPX.news. Conservative Cardinals organize themselves. Fair enough, they're organizing themselves. They recently held a conference that was made public by the breathless reporting from LaCroix International, and I won't be using their reporting on it. They are the official French bishops' news site, and they're about as good as America Magazine, honestly. I won't be using them. I'll just stick with this SSPX news article. But the LaCroix wanted to make sure everybody knew that the conservative cardinals are beginning to politic for the next conclave. Because, of course, there's going to be an underlying accusation there, which is that they're politicizing the next conclave. And as I'll discuss briefly here towards the end of this video, preparing for a conclave in a political sense is, depending on how you read certain papal documents, actually against the rules of the conclave and can actually invalidate a conclave. We'll go over that in a minute. Let's get to the story, though, from the SSPX. Quote, a quiet meeting of cardinals was held last fall to formally consider the ideology of the flesh, and who knows, consider the next conclave. The information revealed in February 2024 tends to show that the most conservative members of the Sacred College want to organize and do not intend to leave the field open to the progressive clan. A broad invitation and open discussion, a bit like an intellectual retreat. This is how Mark Rogeris, founder of the very conservative Austin Institute for Family and Culture, describes the seminar, which was discreetly held in Prague in the Czech Republic at the end of September 2023, at which the newspaper LaCroix reveals the existence in its edition of February 7th, 2024. Several days of conferences attended by around 20 high-ranking ecclesiastics, including 9 cardinals, all gathered at the Mozart Hotel in the heart of Prague in order to discuss the great challenges facing the Catholic family, notably the ideology of the flesh and its various substitutes. It is also a way of organizing and preparing after Francis, even if a conservative Roman prelate contacted by the French Daily assures us, quote, meetings like these exist, but it should not be interpreted as a preparation for the conclave. However, the intellectual retreat organized from September 26 to 2028, September 2023, brought together several cardinal figures who will play a role in the election of the successor of the current Roman pontiff. Virgilio de Corma de Silva, first Propator from East Timor, Oswald Gracias from Bombay, India, William Ike from Utrecht, the Netherlands, Patrick de Rosio from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and William Goh from Singapore. So many figures ranked to the right of the Sacred College joined in Prague by a few Europeans, Africans, and Americans, including Carlos Angelo Bagnasco of Genoa, Italy, Dominic Duca of Prague in the Czech Republic, and the much politicized Cardinal Archbishop of San Francisco in the United States, Salvatore Cordileone. All of them have in common a certain critical outlook on the most questionable aspects of Francis's pontificate, because the least we can say is that the Austin Institute is not really in line with Amoris Laetitia, nor with Fiducia Supplicans. Quote, to seek the truth alongside the best scholars, to defend a Catholic orthodoxy enriching, or being Christian in an age frenziedly in love with materialism, unbridled technological progress, and moral upheaval. These are the themes addressed on the website of this Texan organization founded in 2012 by sociologist Mark Daniel Regeris. End quote. Now, you may have noted in that quote that the bishops are quick to say they're not really preparing for the next conclave. To admit that they were preparing for the next conclave might cast their motives in doubt, and even throw the next conclave into doubt, since some would try to read canon laws prohibiting what they're doing through a really stretched reading of Universi Dominici Gregis, which is an apostolic constitution by John Paul II that changed the rules of the conclave to include things like prohibiting the politicking and lobbying for candidates at a conclave, which is what Cardinal Godfrey Daniels admitted to doing for Francis in his election. Now, whether that applies to preparing potentially many years in advance of a conclave to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row and you have a candidate virtually chosen for the next conclave is anybody's guess. I doubt it'll come up when the next conclave happens, if there will be anybody trying to invoke that section of canon law in order to prohibit any of these cardinals from being able to participate, but it could happen. Now, it's worth noting here that, of course, these cardinals aren't the only ones preparing. The other side has prepared also. And for this reporting, the other side has been very much more circumspect about it. We have to go to Twitter from a tweet 2 years ago from Dr. Mike Hixon, who said back in the summer of 2022 that the following, which she reported on Twitter, quote, from a source, the church records for HI Mass of the Monastery of Hixon, OSB, which is where the St. Gallen group used to meet, show that German bishops Marx, Bode, Swiss bishops Buchel, Gumur, and 3 French bishops were all there on February 15th, 2022. Is this accidental or St. Gallen too? End quote. Elsewhere, we have reporting that we'll call them the Bergoglians, have been preparing themselves overtly for the next conclave, that they are themselves preparing to find a Francis II, someone who is from the same mold as Francis, except with one critical difference, that this Francis be weak-willed, somebody that he will rely entirely on his support staff for, meaning somebody that the St. Gallen group, that the Bergoglians in the hierarchy can control. Because the one thing that Francis has going for him is that he does not deal with people breaking ranks among his allies. He will come down swiftly like the wrath of God on them. That's not a bad thing if you're a strong-armed dictatorial type pope. And it appears that his allies don't particularly like it. Now, if I had to guess who's going to be better at organizing for this, I would actually put my money not on the conservative cardinals, but on the radical revolutionary type cardinals, the Bergoglian group. Partially because they've been preparing for a lot longer. And in fact, if we include their managing to finally get Bergoglio made pope in 2013, when they tried first in 2005, they had been preparing for 20 years for the opportunity to replace John Paul II. Eventually having to replace their candidate, who had originally been Cardinal Martini, with Jorge Bergoglio. So that side of things has a better track record. They also would have almost certainly been preparing practically since the day Bergoglio stepped out onto the loggia in St. Peter's in 2013 and announced himself as Francis. That day, they've probably been preparing since that day for his replacement. So my money would be on them, but you never know. Now you notice, though, that among those 9 cardinals that were listed among the conservative bishops, there were some noteworthy cardinals missing. No Burke, no Seurat, no Mueller, none of them. What do you think that is? Do you think that this really is just a conference for discussing the state of the culture and all that sort of thing? Or do you think this is more of a keep your distance from this in case you you get nominated to be the next Roman pontiff. And the reason I suspect that might be the case with this is the names you consistently see among the better bishops for becoming the next pope, it would include Cardinal Sarah if this happens anytime soon. He's getting close to aging out, so his chances diminish every single day. Cardinal Mueller, who's still got a few years left. Cardinal Burke, who also is getting close to aging out. But those are the names you consistently see among the better bishops. There are some others as well, but their absence is noteworthy. Almost as if they don't want to be associated with preparing for a conclave. I'm curious what you think about that, though. So let me know in the comments. Do you think that those conservative cardinals were really preparing for the next conclave? Do you hope that they were preparing for the next conclave? Because we know unequivocally that the other side is. They've said as much. So let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen from all this. Do you expect Francis II? Do you expect a John Paul III or a Benedict XVII? Do you hold out hope for a Pius XIII or a Gregory XVII? I'm curious what you have to say, so let me know in the comments, please. And hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly does help, so does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.